In the vast silence of the New World, before a nation was born, there was only wilderness and hope. An untamed land, stretching from the frozen north to the endless southern swamps, waiting for its story to be written. They came across the ocean, not for gold, but for survival. Men and women, exiles, dreamers, believers, chasing the faint echo of freedom in a world that knew none. Every tree they felled, every seed they planted, became a whisper in the making of something greater than themselves. But freedom has never come easily. In Jamestown, hunger claimed more lives than war. At Plymouth, winter struck harder than any enemy. Yet, against all odds, they endured, building villages from mud, faith, and will. The wilderness tested them, and in that trial, they found their strength. The colonies grew, 13 small outposts on the edge of a vast unknown. They were English by birth, but something new by spirit. Generation by generation, they learned to stand on their own, to govern, to trade, to dream without permission. They were becoming Americans, long before the word was ever spoken. Then came the spark. Across the ocean, a distant king demanded obedience, and taxes without representation. But the new world had outgrown the old chains. Voices rose in taverns, in streets, in the pages of pamphlets, voices that dared to question authority. Among them was a quiet fire, men like Samuel Adams, Thomas Paine, and Patrick Henry, whose words lit a revolution. The cause of America, Paine wrote, is in great measure the cause of all mankind, and indeed it was. For the fight that began in Boston was not only against an empire, but against the idea that freedom could ever be owned. In 1775, the gunfire at Lexington and Concord shattered the silence of submission. Farmers stood against red-coated soldiers, not for conquest, but for liberty. The world called it rebellion. History would call it the birth of a nation. Amidst the smoke and fear, delegates gathered in Philadelphia. There, in a sweltering room, 56 men signed a document that defied the most powerful monarchy on earth. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Simple words, yet they shook the foundations of tyranny. The revolution was not glorious. It was brutal, uncertain, and paid for in blood. At Valley Forge, barefoot soldiers marched through snow, leaving crimson trails behind them. In the fields of Saratoga and Yorktown, ordinary men became legends. And when the final shots faded, a new flag rose, not as a symbol of conquest, but of hope. The United States of America had been born, fragile, divided, and untested. Its constitution would be its backbone, and its contradictions, its burden. For the dream of liberty was written by men who still lived in a world of inequality. Freedom for some, not for all. A truth that would echo through generations to come. Still, the idea, the promise, of America, endured. Westward they went, chasing the horizon. Across rivers, mountains, and deserts, they carried with them the belief that destiny could be shaped by one's own hands. But with that expansion came shadow, the displacement of native nations, the scars of slavery, the price of ambition. The land of the free was still learning what freedom meant. Then came the storm, the Civil War. Brother against brother, state against state, heart against heart. The dream of union was tested in fire. From the battlefields of Gettysburg to the ruins of Richmond, the nation bled for its soul. And when the guns fell silent, a new kind of freedom emerged, one written not just on parchment, but in sacrifice. Abraham Lincoln called it a new birth of freedom. Yet the healing would take generations. Freedom, it seemed, was not a destination, but a constant becoming. Through the centuries that followed, America rose and stumbled again. Waves of immigrants arrived, Irish, Italian, Chinese, Polish, Mexican, each bringing their own dreams to the patchwork of the Republic. In factories, on railroads, in fields, they built the backbone of the modern nation. And though they spoke different tongues, their hearts beat to the same rhythm, the rhythm of opportunity. In every era, new battles for freedom were fought. Women demanding the right to vote. workers demanding dignity. Civil rights marchers facing dogs and fire hoses, singing hymns of equality in the face of hate. Each generation, in its own way, answered the same question: what does it mean to be free? Through war and peace, crisis and triumph, the United States remained a paradox, imperfect, yet unyielding in its pursuit of a better self. It became a beacon, not because it was flawless, but because it dared to strive toward the impossible. From the signing of the Declaration to the moon landing, from the abolition of slavery to the rise of civil rights, America has never been just a place. It has been an idea. An unfinished symphony, written in the voices of millions, each note carrying both struggle and hope. And today, as echoes of division and uncertainty once again ripple through the land, that idea still calls out, softly, powerfully, eternally. Freedom, not as a gift, but as a responsibility. Not as a possession, but as a pursuit. For the story of America was never about perfection, it was about perseverance. About the belief that tomorrow can always be better than today. That liberty is not inherited, it must be earned, defended, renewed. From the first settlers who crossed the ocean, to the revolutionaries who defied a king. From enslaved men and women who dreamed of freedom, to immigrants who built a new life from nothing. From soldiers who fought for unity, to citizens who marched for justice. All have left their echoes in the great chorus of freedom. And those echoes still rise. Across mountains and cities, across generations and hearts. They remind us that freedom is not just our past, it is our calling. Because the making of the United States is not over. It is being written still, in every act of courage, every stand for justice, every dream that refuses to die. And as long as that spirit endures, as long as there are people who believe in the power of liberty, the echoes of freedom will never fade. They will rise, forever, in the heart of America.